Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Laura and I am a real estate investor and an Airbnb host, and I'm showing you everything that you need to know to build wealth through short-term rentals. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how you can get your listing to be at the top of Airbnb's search ranking list every single time guests visit that site. One of the most important ways that you can make sure that your listing is always showing up at the top of Airbnb's search ranking list is to become a superhost. Superhosts are the premier hosts on the Airbnb platform, and they've reached this status for a reason. They provide superior service to their guests and their listings are fantastic. But what exactly goes into becoming a superhost? How are hosts rated? And what are some tips and strategies that you can use right now to make sure that you are always presenting a really great listing to Airbnb and that your place is always going to be fully booked? The great thing about being a superhost is that Airbnb gives you some additional perks. These include a dedicated customer service representative, access to special promotions, and they get extra exposure from Airbnb that sends out emails to potential guests featuring their superhosts. And for all of these reasons, superhost status is really important to achieve, but the most important reason that it's super important to achieve is that it conveys that you are a trustworthy and good host, which means that it's much more likely that potential guests are going to trust you and pick your place to stay. Let's start by defining a superhost. Superhost status is determined on the first of every quarter in the year, so there are 4 opportunities to become a superhost. And people who become a superhost in one quarter are continuously reevaluated, so you consistently have to meet the criteria. You have to have at least 10 stays or 3 stays that are 100 days long or longer. You have to maintain a 90% response rate, which means any inquiry that you receive from a potential guest, you have to respond to within 24 hours by either accepting or declining their inquiry. You have to maintain less than 1% cancellation rate for a confirmed booking, and you have to maintain at least a 4.8 out of their 5-star rating system. And we're going to get into that 5-star rating system next. There are 6 components to the 5-star rating system. First is overall. Guests can rank you on a 5-star rating scale what they thought overall of their experience. And then they can rank you on cleanliness. How clean was your place? Accuracy. Was your place well represented by the photos and the description in your listing? Value. Did they get their money's worth? Check-in. Was it easy for them to access your home? Location. Were they made aware of the neighborhood, access to transportation, parking, access to restaurants and things to do in town, and amenities? Was everything that you promised in the listing available when your guests arrived? So guests will rank you on each one of those criteria, and your overall rating will be based on the overall rating that guests gave. So now that you know why it's so important to become a superhost and what's included in the 5-star rating system, let's talk about 10 tips that are always going to keep you on top of Airbnb's search ranking and to keep you as a superhost. The first tip is that you've got to understand that being a superhost and a 5-star host means that you are going the extra mile for your guests. So not only are you prompt in your responses, but you're very courteous and friendly, and you've thought about the little things that make a guest stay more enjoyable. The second thing is communication. You want to make sure to be prompt in your responses, to be clear, and to anticipate any questions. And I recommend that you set up automated messaging for your guests when they book to confirm them. You want to give them check-in instructions. You want to give them check-out instructions. And you also want to ask them about their stay within a day or so of them checking in. And in addition, when they reach out to you, be sure to be very prompt in your reply. The third tip is to provide really detailed information about the local area. You can talk about popular tourist attractions, restaurants, bars, and other things to do while guests are staying at your location. One way to do this is to create a digital version through Canva, and then you can include a link to this digital guide in the check-in instructions. I've gotten numerous messages from guests thanking me for the detailed information they got in their guidebook, and it's frankly one of the things that my guests have really enjoyed best about staying with me. This one should be obvious, the 4th tip, but I'm going to say it anyway. Keep your place clean, free of clutter, and in good condition. condition. Listen, things happen as people are staying in your home. Things will get worn down, things will get broken. Be sure to communicate with your cleaner to let you know if anything needs to be repaired or replaced right away. That way, as guests come in, the place is absolutely pristine for them. This really matters. The fifth tip is to provide additional amenities. I have things like extra blankets, extra towels, extra plates, bowls, making sure that there is enough of all of the things that guests will use when they stay with me so that they don't have to ask, and that everything is available at their fingertips. The sixth tip is to provide really clear check-in and check-out instructions. For the check-in instructions, I include photographs of the path walking up to my home, the path walking up to the front door, a photo of the keypad where they have to enter their unique code to unlock the door. I want them to know everything that they should expect, and it makes it a lot easier for them, especially if they're arriving after dark and they may have trouble seeing. The seventh tip is to be flexible and accommodate guests' needs when they communicate them to you. Sometimes guests might need something extra, or they just have a couple of questions, and just being very prompt and being very courteous can really go a long way to helping build trust with your guests and fostering goodwill so that they are excited to give you that 5-star review. Number 8 is to be responsive to feedback. This one can be a little tough because sometimes the feedback that you get may not be what you like. Guests may not give you a 5-star rating, and they may say some things in their written feedback that is a little hurtful. I think the key here is to make sure that you do not take it personally and that you use it as an opportunity to grow. So if a guest say that something is worn down or broken, look into it right away so that you can address it for the next guest. And if in their written feedback, the guest has said some negative things about your place, remember, you have an opportunity to write a written response, and you shouldn't be retaliatory, because who's going to read that is your next guest. So the response that you're writing to a guest who gave you a poor review is for the next guest. So don't try to justify or get back at them. Just thank them for their feedback, let them know that you value it and that you'll address their feedback right away. The 9th tip is to be respectful of your guests' privacy and give them their space while they settle in so that they can enjoy their stay. If they need you, they will reach out. And then the 10th tip is to be proactive in addressing any guest need. For example, I've had leaky pipes and broken furniture happen while I've had guests, and I have had to buy some extra water, come in and fix things, get a handyman to come and fix it, do whatever it takes basically to make sure that I am on top of addressing the issue and making sure that the guest that is staying there while these things are happening is comfortable. And if you have to, sometimes offering a slight discount or even a refund if they've had a major issue during their stay is the best thing to do, because they're going to be much more likely to look favorably on you when they're writing that review. So that's it. Now you know what a Superhost is, why it's so important, and I've given you 10 tips on how to make sure that you maintain Superhost status and that you maintain a really top performing Airbnb. By doing the things that I talked about in this video, you are going to be setting yourself up for success over the long term to make sure that you attain and maintain Superhost status. I hope today's video was super helpful. Let me know in the comments if there's anything else that you'd like to learn about building wealth through short-term rentals. Thanks so much for stopping by. Bye-bye.